There's some trips you get back from, and after you get home and have time to reflect, you think to yourself, yeah, that was a cool trip, but I'm probably not going to do that one again. And then there's others where you've not even got home yet, and you've already got your next trip half planned. After my first canoe trip to Wabakimi, well, I knew I'd be coming back. My first trip to Wabakimi, I'd walked around and explored Wendell Beckwith's cabins at what he thought was the center of the universe. Seeing what felt like hundreds of pictographs on one of the most beautiful lakes I'd ever paddled. Seen an abandoned plane crash and watched the northern lights dance across the night sky. Any one of these on their own would make almost any paddler want to return. The fact that they were all part of what I'd experienced in one single park, I thought was absolutely incredible.
Wow, what is the elevator speech about Wabakimi? Well, it's 5 times the size of Portaging, or Boundary Waters. It's twice as big as Yellowstone, has 300 to 500 woodland caribou, has whitewater and flatwater trips. It gets about 700, maybe 800 paddlers a year all season, which is a fraction of 1% of the other parks. Hardly anybody knows about it, but recently they seem to be just discovering it. The fact that it doesn't have too much access helps keep it wild. Has golden eagles, caribou, lots of moose. It has interesting wildlife, the odd wolverine. We've even seen a cougar or two, so it's unique.
After sitting down with Bruce, grabbing a quick bite to eat, and going over the maps, it was time to get this trip started. I needed to catch a 2 p.m. flight to the middle of nowhere. I've just arrived here in Wabakimi, day one of a 10-day planned trip here. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here right now. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to make this trip happen. I got in contact with Bruce at Wabakimi Outfitters kind of very, very, very last minute, and he's really set me up here with an extremely cool route that I'm super excited to tackle over the next week and a bit. So should be an amazing, amazing trip. My route would see me paddle across a section of Wabakimi before heading south to the Kopka River, famous for its steep portages and awe-inspiring waterfalls. I had a long way to go though before getting there. For now, I simply needed to complete a steep but relatively straightforward portage and find a campsite on the next lake. Anyone who does a lot of canoe trips probably understands that quite often they involve a long drive. Wabakimi isn't far off 2,000 kilometers from me. So after completing that long drive and only getting a couple hours sleep in my car, all I wanted to do at the end of day one was find a flat piece of ground to call home for the evening. Took a couple casts this morning and a little walleye. Absolutely gorgeous morning here in Wabakimi. Just flat water. Sun's coming out, starting to warm things up. It was a cold night, but beautiful. Something about mornings like this, you just can't help but smile. Day 2 of the trip would offer some unknowns, which always makes trips better in my opinion. With the water levels and condition of some of the portages in question, Bruce had given me a couple different options to make my way to the Kopka. One option involved a lengthy but easy to navigate portage along a rail line. The other, a potentially dried up creek and non-existent portage. Neither option sounded particularly great to me, but I just have to trust my gut and carry on. First little walleye, wow, actually second of the trip so far. Gorgeous fish. See you, buddy. I ended up choosing the route down the little creek. Thankfully, there was just enough water to paddle and drag my way down. There was even a pretty nice portage at the end of it. I was certainly happy that I wasn't going to have to portage along the busy rail line. Going up and over it was enough for me. I was actually a little surprised at just how busy this track was. That guy from CN Rail was kind of surprised to see me. He did a double take there. I'm making great progress today so far. I've kind of exceeded my my expectations, which were quite low as to how far I was going to make it today, but so far, so good. Beautiful day out too. Well, very lucky. This place is just gorgeous. I wasn't really expecting a whole lot from this section of the trip, but it's definitely not disappointing, that's for sure. There's an old fire pit there. I have no idea what any of these are, but it looks like maybe an old chain link. This is definitely some type of spike for, I'd imagine, for logging, but I really don't know. Like an old gaff or something. And then this is quite heavy. It's got a groove in it here, but I don't know, some type of big wheel for a pulley or something. I don't know. Kind of cool though. Definitely been here for a long time. Oh, look at this. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. An old axe head. That is old. Old. Look at that. That is cool. So cool finding old artifacts in the bush. Now, I know somebody left it behind and you shouldn't leave things in the bush, but at a certain point, and I don't know why or how old it has to be, but it goes from being garbage to being kind of interesting to find. Stunning. There has to be pictographs here for sure. Looking back on this trip now, I think one of the biggest mistakes I'd made was assuming there wouldn't be a lot of beauty in the landscape until the waterfalls at the end of the Kopka. I couldn't have been more wrong. Almost every lake, creek, and even the portages had been absolutely gorgeous, and the trip had only just begun. This place is crazy. If somebody told me right now I was on Cliff Lake, I would believe them. This is nuts. Except these cliffs actually might be bigger. In fact, I'm almost certain they are. This is insane. What a gorgeous spot. I had no idea this was even here. There's a bunch of old pictographs here. Wow, they're super hard to make out, but there's a bunch of them here. Another old pictograph there. That one's quite large, but I can barely make any of them out. I'm not really sure what to say about that section I just paddled through there, other than it's a pretty incredible spot. After searching the vertical walls and finding a few ancient pictographs, I would eventually find a tiny island campsite, possibly even used by the people that had painted the pictographs. It was the perfect spot to stop and enjoy the beautiful evening in Wabakimi. Portage took me a little bit longer than I was expecting. I had a little bit of a hard time finding the entrance to that one. And slept in. I really slept in this morning. Probably on the water about an hour and a half later than I normally am, but it just means I might have to paddle a little bit later today. Off camera on that last portage, I actually fell right into the water, right up to my belly button. I haven't fallen in the water for quite a while. The last time was actually in Wabakimi, so maybe it's a sign. Once every trip to Wabakimi, I've got to fall in the water. I'm hoping this is the only time. Everywhere I go on this route, it's just gorgeous the whole way. You gotta love Wabakimi. I'm gonna have kind of an earlier day. Find a campsite here in the next hour or so and enjoy my time here a little bit more than on some other trips. Hopefully too at some point on this trip I'll see some moose or wolves or bears. I don't think that this is a particularly moosey route, if you know what I mean. There's not a ton of wetlands that I'm paddling through, but you never know. They're everywhere up here. That's really cool. I think that moose surprised me as much as I surprised her. I must have seen 1,000 moose by now, but it never seems to get old. I'm always just as excited as I was the first time I saw one. It's always an incredible experience.
cool morning here in Wabakimi. When that sun's not out, it is definitely on the fresh side of things. But beautiful night. Got a few portages and I'll be on the Kopka. I'm really kind of excited and a little bit, maybe anxious would be the word. See what the conditions are like. It should be a cool morning.
This would end up being one of the more difficult sections of the entire trip. This area seemed to be less traveled, and it clearly showed in the portages. Quite often, it was hard to know whether you were actually on the portage or just bushwhacking your way through the woods. There was a crazy amount of blowdowns in some of the sections, but thankfully, someone had very recently blazed most of the portages, giving me hope that I wasn't just walking around aimlessly with a canoe on my head.
Come on, Lou. Let's go. Come on. Go on. Go on.
Today would also see me cross over the height of land on my way south to the Kopka River. All the water I traveled across on the first part of my trip was part of the Arctic watershed, flowing north down the Ogoki and Albany rivers before draining into James Bay. The Kopka flows into Lake Nipigon, which drains into the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River, before emptying into the North Atlantic Ocean.
I've got one more portage before I get onto the Kopka, and that last one was brutal.
Crossing the height of land to me always sounds really cool and almost extreme. Oftentimes along the highways across Canada, there are even signs letting you know that you've crossed from one watershed to another. But out here in the bush, you simply portage over a hill and almost unknowingly start flowing in a different direction.
I've made it onto the Kopka River. I was kind of expecting to come out here and it be this raging torrent of a river, and it's pretty gentle, at least right here. I really don't know what to expect on this stretch, but it's quite beautiful. Looks very bony. I might just line down the right side here because I don't know if there's enough water to actually run down. So
It didn't take long for it to become incredibly obvious that the Kopka is going to be one very bumpy, bouldery ride. It wasn't going to be the kind of river you could just float down, but one where I'd have to line, wade, and push my way through. I could also tell that my poor little canoe was going to take one heck of a beating. The kind of river that, simply put, just adds more character to your canoe.
certainly not the smoothest ride, but first set down. one thing I know for sure about this video is it's not going to be a how-to guide on how to run rapids.
Even with the low water levels, it was a lot of fun. Slowly drifting down some sections of the river and bouncing off what felt like every rock through the shallow rapids. I was clearly on to a new chapter in this trip. The large lakes and longer portages had been replaced with a narrow, more intimate feeling river with short, bouldery portages. As much as I love lake tripping, this was the section of the trip I was most looking forward to.
I think that's the last set of rapids for the day here. It looks like there's a couple of campsites that got marked on this lake, so it's 5 o'clock. I think it's time to camp. That was a great day. Made it exactly where I wanted to get to, and lots of portaging, lots of lining, couple little tiny runs. Probably severely damaged the bottom of my canoe, but it was fun.
Days like this for me are my absolute favorite days on canoe trips, and one of the main reasons I love canoe tripping so much. I love that feeling you get at the start of a big day when you're a little bit nervous and not really sure what you're going to experience and have to work through to make your way out. That feeling of being all alone with no distractions and no one to help you. Being forced to solve every problem that comes your way one step at a time. I really feel like for so many of us, life has become too easy. If you're cold, just turn the heat up. If something breaks, call a repairman. Actually having to rely on yourself is such a powerful feeling, and maybe the biggest reason that canoe tripping has become my biggest obsession in life. I just can't think of a better way to spend my time than out here on another canoe trip.
Day 5 of the trip now, and just in the last day or two I've really noticed the leaves starting to change up here in the trees, and it definitely feels like fall. Quite cool again with the north breeze today. Cool enough where I'm really not looking forward to getting my feet wet, but it comes with the territory, I guess.
Day 5 would be my first full day on the river. It was going to be one of those days that just had a great mix of everything. Small rapids, short portages, the opportunity to catch some walleye, and some beautiful scenery. Can't ask for much more than that on any canoe trip.
Beautiful little waterfall there. I think that's probably the smallest one I'll see. Gorgeous. Should be a portage here somewhere. It can be kind of challenging to find them though here. Some of them are blazed, some of them aren't. Some of them are really obvious, and again, some of them are not, but there should be one here somewhere. Couple casts, nice little walleye. Probably stay here all day and fish at the base of this little rapid. Although there wasn't as many walleye as I thought. I'm thinking with the low water and the relatively warm water that they are probably maybe hiding in some deeper holes out here. It's really shallow down there, but anyways, nice to get one.
After pretending I knew where the fish were hiding and accepting no responsibility at all for not catching many walleye at the base of the rapids, I would carry on paddling and portaging down the Kopka. With some rain in the forecast and a lack of campsites for the next few kilometers, it was time to get moving.
Come on, buddy. Got another set of swifts or rapids up ahead of me here. I'm gonna either have to line or run, but check this out. Not how that was supposed to go. Oh. I was debating camping when I decided to camp, and I'm definitely glad I did. Getting wet in this rain right now with this temperature, not a lot of fun. It's pretty nice underneath this tarp right now.
I'm always amazed at just how quiet it is in the bush this time of year. It's literally nearly silent, making any noise at all really stand out. During a break in the rain, I'd get a chance to watch a mink, swimming and searching for food, and almost immediately after, have an American three-toed woodpecker search for grubs just above my head. What felt at times like an abandoned land was transformed, at least for a few minutes, into a little wildlife oasis. Eventually, the near silence had returned, and after making a quick dinner, I was more than happy to go to bed and read my new book. Just the quiet sound of rain on my tarp and the howls of a distant pack of wolves to put me to sleep. A perfect end to what had been another amazing day in Wabakimi. With the temperature dropping to near freezing that night, enjoying breakfast next to a small fire was the perfect way to start the day. I could have easily spent all day there, but I had to keep moving. Today's goal was to make it to the lake directly above the Seven Sisters section of the Kopka, a series of what I was hoping would be some spectacular waterfalls. Very gorgeous area here. Holy, there's a little campsite here, which would actually have been a very nice spot. Not that I'm complaining, because I loved my little island site last night, but pretty cool in here.
seems to be getting more and more impressive. The last little waterfall is really cool. Gorgeous, couple beautiful campsites there as well. Quite a place.
As I made my way down the Kopka, the shallow rapids that seemed to make up the upper section of the river were replaced by small waterfalls and ledges that I needed portage around. The river was definitely changing, and the further I paddled, the more it seemed to close in around me. This is what I was expecting from the Kopka.
Little wildlife sanctuary here with I think it was another mink and the McGansers. That's cool. Last portage of the day. Oh, that's a good feeling. And it's not even a long one. A couple hundred meters, I think. Fish. Probably another pike. Another little pike. See you, brother. Another amazing day here in Wabakimi. I've got the Seven Sisters, the big waterfalls coming up tomorrow morning, and I'm really excited to see them. I'm sure they're going to be absolutely incredible, just like the rest of this trip has been so far. What an absolutely gorgeous morning here. Cold, definitely cold, but absolutely gorgeous. Sunshine, blue skies. Incredible. Looks like I'm gonna have to pick my way through another boulder garden here. This is like real shallow. I don't know if there's any path through or if it's gonna be a drag my canoe over the rocks here.
Eventually, I'd find a little path on river left to float and line my way to the first portage of the day. The first of many bouldery, ankle-busting portages that lead you down the Seven Sisters. Thankfully, it was a dry day. Doing these portages in the rain would be a recipe for disaster.
That's a rough portage, that one. Wow. Boulder garden, not easy. Glad it's done.
With the first portage out of the way, it was just a matter of minutes before I was at the first major waterfall. Even with the low water levels, I had a feeling it was going to be one of those days that sticks with you forever.
That is why you come here. That's why you do these trips. Incredible. Oh, I love that. That is so cool. Unbelievable. Absolutely gorgeous.
After seeing this absolutely stunning waterfall, I thought for sure this was going to be the highlight of the day, maybe even the trip. But I didn't realize that the best was yet to come. This place was unbelievable.
You guys scared the heck out of me. How is it, Lou? It looks steep.
It looks steep because it was steep. These are the type of portages that separate the wheat from the chaff. The type of obstacles that make seeing these falls really feel like an achievement.
Unreal. This truly has to be one of the nicest sections of water I've ever paddled. There is no doubt in my mind. This place is pretty wild. I feel extremely lucky to be here right now. Towering cliffs. Insane. I'm honestly kind of running out of words here. This might be the nicest one. Oh my. Incredible. What a place, holy. Unbelievable. I thought the first waterfall was gorgeous, and it was huge, and then I saw that one, and I think that one takes the cake. Although, truly, this whole section of the river has been unbelievable. Crazy.
This was the last full day on this trip, and these waterfalls seemed like the perfect ending to what had been an incredible trip. It really had been one of the most amazing days of canoe tripping I've ever experienced. Before my papa passed away a few years ago, I would send him pictures from trips Ash and I had gone on. He was an avid outdoorsman and loved these adventures. I know I'm in a special place when he's in the forefront of my mind, and I'm sure he would have loved to see pictures from this incredible place. This whole trip had been another great reminder to me on just how lucky we are to have these wild places left to explore. Sitting there, watching the sun go down, and staying up nearly all night, watching the northern lights light up the night sky, was such an amazing way to end the trip. As I paddled out my final morning, I knew that I'd be coming back soon to explore more of this incredible land that I'd hardly even scratched the surface of. With all the development in Ontario's north, I thought I'd end the video with a few words from Bruce.
Pick your little favorite green spot and save it. Save it from roads and logging and development. Whether it's a neighborhood park, a nearby stream, a big chunk of remaining wilderness, pick your spot, save it. Always save in the next 5 to 10 years is all that we're ever going to save, probably for all time, certainly thousands of years. I'm worried about the future of humanity and the biosphere, but whatever we set aside now will be a preservation of species and ecosystems so that whether we continue or go extinct, there'll be something left.
Well said.
As Henry David Thoreau said, in wildness is the preservation of the world.
Well said, Bruce. Thank you. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
All right.